Hello. All right. I'm ready for you guys.
All right, good morning and welcome to Coach Taylor's press conference. We will go right into questions, so please use the raise hand function on Zoom and we will take questions in the order they come in. Josh, you're up first.
Hey Troy, a lot was made obviously when you guys went to the ACC about dealing with the road trips. Just can you walk us through just what's the whole process this week that's different maybe about traveling cross country than it would have been for your road trips in the past years?
Yeah, we're going to leave a day earlier, so we're going to leave on Wednesday or right around 1 o'clock, and we'll get there obviously that evening, and then we'll wake up and kind of go through our day. It'll just be on the East Coast, so that's the main thing. We're trying to stay on just West Coast time, which obviously with the timing of the game works out well. So it's not an early kick. So we're able to kind of just keep our clocks the same and get out there a little bit early.
Did you talk to any other coaches who've gone through this, either NFL or other college coaches who have had to travel cross country a lot to get any tips or?
Yeah, I've done it before and have spoken to people. And, there's some people that say we just go out the day before. We're going to go out a day early and see how we like it. We can always adjust if it's something that we don't feel is necessary. But as of right now, that's kind of we're just going to try and get acclimated and keep it as normal as possible.
Thanks.
Thank you. And if you are not one of our regular media people, please let us know what outlet you're from. Dan Tortora.
Yeah, Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Good to see you again, Coach.
Seeing you.
To just kind of give some thoughts on Fran Brown, the work that he's done. He's a first-time head coach, but he was part of the staff that won 2 championships nationally at Georgia. Just your take on Fran.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a good history of being around winning programs, and he's done a great job there. I think they've made a splash in recruiting and brought in some good players. I mean, if you look at what their team is 2-0, they're a physical group. They're explosive on offense. I mean, in that short time that they've been there, he and his staff have done a great job of putting together a really good football team.
I had the opportunity of speaking with your quarterback, Ashton Daniels, and he obviously came in before you got there, but saw what you were about and decided that he needed to stay and said a lot of positives about that decision. Just what you can say about Ashton and what he's done and the appreciation that he did give you an opportunity to see what you're going to do leadership wise.
Yeah, Ashton is a tremendous person, first and foremost. Just a great kid, an incredible competitor, really tough, and obviously really talented. And I think he just continues to get better. And so much a quarterback is experience and kind of knowing what to expect. And he's just continues to grow in that area. He's a dynamic runner. He's a physical runner. And he gives us a chance. He's one of our biggest, fastest guys on our team. So just really athletic and talented guy. And I'm sure glad he stuck around to stay with us.
Thank you, Coach.
Jake Klein.
Hey, Coach. Alec Manor kind of burst onto the national scene last year with that Colorado game. Since then, how have you seen kind of opposing defenses handle him, and what allows him to still dominate his matchup when, the defense kind of knows he's the guy to stop?
Yeah, I think, his off season, having a full season of being healthy and or most of the season, off season being healthy, and just his durability, his conditioning is something that's really improved. And then his overall feel for the game continues to get better. So I think when you talk about a guy that's his size and speed and competitiveness, he's going to be a tough matchup for anybody. That being said, defenses are intricate and are dynamic, so they're able to adjust and do different things. And we got to be kind of trying to stay one step ahead and make sure he's involved in the offense, regardless of what they're doing defensively.
Thank you. Nathan.
Hey, Coach Nathan Candler from the San Jose Mercury News. Good talking to you again. Obviously on the other side, offensively for Syracuse, they got Kyle McCord at quarterback. What are just some of the challenges going up against a guy that experienced in that offense?
Yeah, well, you can just see that he's playing with a lot of confidence. They've done a great job with him and understanding the scheme and where the ball goes. He's very decisive. He's really accurate. He can get himself out of trouble, and he's got some really good weapons at wide receiver. So they've scored a lot of points. They're a really good RPO team and explosive throwing the ball. So he looks very confident, and they're a really good offense.
What are some of the advantages to just having a bye week so early in the season, kind of getting ready for this game against Syracuse?
Yeah, I think, well, I think the ACC did a nice job giving both teams a bye week, so there's not a ton of advantage there. But the things that you get as a team, obviously, is if you have somebody that needs a little rest and needs to get healthy, you get an extra week. And then preparation wise, you get to look at your opponent a little bit deeper. Now, there's only, we both only have 2 games. So there's not a ton to go off of. And people still kind of tend to morph and change a little bit as they figuring out kind of who they are. So I know both teams have looked extensively at the 2 games this year, but there'll be different stuff that we'll see for sure. And we'll have to adjust.
Ben Parker.
Hey, Coach, kind of going off that last answer a little bit, just how do you kind of approach things practice-wise during the bye week? Is there anything you do differently yeah, I mean, just kind of in general term, how does a bye week of practice look different maybe than a regular week?
Yeah, so what we did is we came in the day after the game and did our after we played Cal Poly, we did our regular Sunday where we review the tape and lift and get all that in. And then we chose to practice right away, Monday through Thursday. They were padded practices, but they were shorter and crisp. And we got a chance to improve our fundamentals and then also get a jump start on Syracuse. I'm sure they had something very similar, so they got to jump on us as well. And then as the bye week went on, near the end of the week, it was most exclusively working on getting prep for Syracuse. So then a couple of days off. We gave them Friday and Saturday off. And then yesterday we had a regular kind of work day, practice and preparation, all that.
Thank you, Ben. Steve.
Yeah, Troy, how you doing?
Hey, good.
Good. One quick question on the logistics of the trip. You guys play another game a week from Saturday at Clemson. I'm sure there was some thought about staying on the East Coast for the week. Why did you guys decide that you're going to come back and then go back again?
I think a couple of things. I think, obviously, comfort wise and not being home, and for our players, the academic part of it is a huge part of it. And then also, our facilities are here, our ability to lift and train and eat and try to keep it as normal as possible. Also, the fact that we're playing on a Friday, so that even though we're going to travel back and it'll be late and kind of, throw our sleep schedule off a little bit, they will have all day Saturday to recover. And then we'll hopefully be able to, get on a normal routine on Sunday.
Okay. Then the specific question football wise is Justin Lampson is going back to play against Syracuse. 2-part. One is, I'm guessing with a new head coach, there's not a whole lot that he can tell you about Syracuse that maybe he could have last season. And secondly, just what has he meant to you and your offense in a season plus?
Yeah, Justin, spending time at Syracuse is obviously he has an idea of some of their personnel. Some of it has changed. Obviously, schematically, they've changed quite a bit. So, but what Justin brings to our team is one, leadership, toughness. He's a great teammate. He always thinks of the team first. And I mean, the edge and toughness that he gives us when he's on the field is very unique. He's just a really physically and mentally tough person. And I have a ton of trust in him. Know he can come in and do pretty much anything. He's a special guy and has been huge, not just for this offense, but for this team. Sometimes when you come in as a transfer, it's hard to mix in just because you don't know everybody. And he is such a good person and gets along with everybody that he melded into to our team really quickly and became friends. And I think that makes a difference.
David Hale.
Hey, Troy, David Hale with ESPN. I wanted to pick your brain on 2 matchups in particular. The first one, I know you get to see LA create matchup issues all the time, but they have a guy who's sort of a tight end receiver hybrid, Narande Gadsden, 6'5", 240-ish. How much of a challenge is that to have a guy that's that size and can run that well, playing that sort of hybrid position? And how do you, I'm sure you don't run into a ton of guys who look like him. How do you approach that defensively?
No, it's a great question. He's very unique. I think, the one thing that he presents is, he does a great job of getting open, but even if he's covered, he's kind of open, and that he creates a great space, and he's really good in traffic, of making plays that are contested because he's just so long and strong. So, yeah, you're right. Luckily we don't play against too many guys that are like him. But really talented. He's got a good feel for the passing game too, and space. And so when you put all those qualities together, you got a really tremendous athlete and asset on offense.
And then I know Fadil Diggs, their defensive end, has had a really good start to the season. You've got a younger guy at left tackle. Do you try to bring extra help when you've got a guy like that and make him the focus, or do you not want to put too much focus on one edge guy and leave the door open for other guys?
No, he's really good, and they do a great job of moving him around and utilizing him. He's fast, he's big, he's really explosive, he loves contact, so he's physical. So you got to know where he's at for sure. And he seems very comfortable in the system. They mix things up, their pass game, and did a great job, obviously, against a really good Georgia Tech team. So yeah, he's a tremendous player. You definitely got to know where he's at, and he's an important part of their defense.
All right, enjoy Syracuse. Get some dinosaur barbecue while you're out there. It'll be worth going a day early for it.
That's what I hear.
Troy?
Where I'm headed on Thursday, I can tell you that right now. Coach, personnel wise, defensive line, good depth, but tested a little bit. Lost Hope and Phillips early in the first quarter. Didn't see Clay Patterson at all. How are those two guys doing in particular?
Yeah, we'll see. There'll be game time decisions, but we feel optimistic that they're doing everything they can to get ready for a Friday game.
Thank you. Nico?
Hey, Coach, this is Nico with WAER Radio here in Syracuse. Actually went to high school with Justin at Oak Ridge, so I know the NorCal connection there. But from
Trojans, all right.
Go Trojans, exactly. I know your Folsom Bulldogs got on us a little bit the last few years, but for Justin specifically, I know you touched on kind of his football and character attributions a minute ago, but for him, bringing him back from the East Coast to the West Coast, what was kind of the process there from your eyes, and then from him, maybe his with aspirations?
Yeah, well, I knew Justin very well as a player and had met him, and we recruited him when we were at Sacramento State. And obviously, he went to Syracuse, and a great place, and I think he really enjoyed it there. So for us, we already really knew what he brought, as I had seen him play so much. I always admired his toughness, competitiveness, and the fact that he's a dual threat quarterback. So for us, it was a no-brainer to bring him here. It was once he went in the transfer portal, we were all in, and luckily there was an appeal, and he's such a smart young man and a great student that it was a good fit getting him into Stanford. So for us, it was easy. I knew him a lot as an Oak Ridge football player, and very familiar with the high school football in Sacramento. And Oak Ridge has always done a really good job with their offense and their quarterbacks. They've had a long history. So we're very lucky to have him here.
Great. Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Nico. Ben?
Two questions for you real quick. First of all, just kind of thoughts on Syracuse plays in a dome. So just kind of how does that affect your preparation? Just thoughts on playing in a dome. Are there aspects of that you feel might help your team? And just thoughts on the dome aspect of this. And then secondly, after the dome question, I also want to get your thoughts just on Stanford men's soccer has picked up a couple nice road wins early in the season at Clemson, at Notre Dame. I'm just curious if you've talked to any of the other fall sport coaches about maybe soccer, about how they've dealt with travel, or just thoughts on that. Yeah.
No, I haven't talked to it. Obviously where the wins for our schools are great wins against really good programs, but have not spoken too much. In terms of the dome, it's unique. I've never been there. But speaking to Justin and a number of people that have played there or coached there, they say it's really loud. So yeah, that's a huge advantage for Syracuse, is the crowd noise for sure. So we've been preparing in the bye week and this week to deal with on the offensive side of the ball specifically, and being able to communicate and then get off on the snap count and all that. So it's a challenge. It's definitely a home field advantage when you have that kind of environment. And so we've prepped, and we'll see if we're ready for it.
Thank you. Ian?
Hi, Coach. Also from WAER Radio up here in Syracuse. Question I had for you, I know you already answered one about Alec Manor, but I want you to go back a couple of years. When you got the job, he had never stepped foot on the field because he redshirted. What were your first, obviously he was a super highly touted recruit coming out of a prep school in the Northeast, but do you remember what your first impressions were of him when you actually saw him on the field in a Stanford uniform playing for the first time?
Yeah, he was injured like you spoke of. So, it was a while till he got out on the field. But my first, I guess, instance of recognizing him and who he was he was really smart. He was in here a lot asking questions. He had a high football interest and aptitude. And Tyler Osborne, said, gosh, I don't know if this Alec Manor is any good, but he really loves football and he's really into learning about it. And obviously we knew he had talent. We just hadn't seen him do much. And so didn't really participate in spring. And then he was in a knee brace most of fall camp. And then so we saw the potential. He was very reluctant at first running, which most people will be, and or I guess I should say cutting off of that leg. So you could see he's trying to get a feel and trying to get confident in it. He caught the ball well, but we really didn't know what we had because he was just kind of gaining his confidence and recovery off that leg. So obviously once we started going full speed, we thought he had a chance, and then it really came all together. I saw it just the same as everybody else did against that Colorado game, where you saw him really play at a different speed and play at a lot of confidence. He also had the knee brace off for really the first game. And I think once his confidence, he saw that he could do it. It's really continued to elevate. And I really think his better days are ahead of him. He really cares. He's got a high level of mental and physical toughness that'll help him be a great player.
Back to Steve.
April, I think I know you well enough to say you're a decent student of history. So when you guys go on the field for the first time that Stanford's playing an ACC game, will you take in that moment? Is there some kind of historic sense of that, or is it, you're playing Syracuse and it's just another game?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I've always tried to, as a player, as a coach, try to treat every game the same way. So I try not to focus on any outside elements other than really the preparation. And then to me, they become kind of a faceless opponent. You try not to have any emotion tied to it, to just really focus in. And our guys will be ready to play regardless who we're playing. They're really excited to play in the ACC. We feel, I guess, gratitude is the best feeling I could say, is just when you're without a conference for the amount of time we were, 10 days or whatever, and not knowing what's going to happen. And then all of a sudden to be welcomed into an incredible conference like the ACC, I just feel a lot of gratitude. So, people talk about the mileage and the travel. Our guys are excited to be able to go to these different venues, Syracuse being one that's is a great place and has a lot of history, and we're very fortunate to be able to play there.
Thank you, sir.
John Platts.
Yeah, Troy, my question levers off of Steve's in the sense that is the preparation a little bit different in a given year? In past years, you play Arizona State and then you play them again the next year, and some players are different, but you have sort of walking around knowledge. I imagine there's less of that with Syracuse. So has there been anything different in the routine, or is it prep just like it was last year when Stanford was facing a common set of conference opponents?
No, it's a great question. Obviously going into when you're playing all these new teams and new coordinators, you don't know what to expect. I mean, football and you've seen just about everything you can see, but there's a preparation that when you go in, and luckily we had a bye week. And they had some fairly significant changes from week 1 to week 2. And they had a lot of success with those changes. So, we got to be ready for really anything. The preparation doesn't change in terms of how important it is to tactically be ready for what they can bring forth, and then learning their personnel, which you just don't know, because you've never played them before. So you try to squeeze all that into, luckily, 2 weeks. and we feel like we're ready. But obviously they got smart coaches and smart people. They can alter things and change them up, and you got to be willing and able to adapt quickly.
Thank you. We have time for 3 more questions. Jake?
Coach, you kind of talked about the introduction to the ACC, but can you just talk about the significance of that first game being a Friday night nationally televised game in terms of the kind of attention that brings to Stanford as you try to kind of rebuild a program here?
Yeah, I think our guys love to have exposure to the rest of the country to see us play, and we've luckily been able to do that on a number of occasions. And this is special. We get to play on Friday night. Obviously, there'll be a lot of eyes on the game. I know we always watch the Friday night game when we're done with our meetings, and when you're building a program, you want to put a good foot out so everybody can see what you're doing and what you're establishing in your program. But most importantly, you want to find a way to win the game.
Ben?
Yeah, I just want to get some thoughts on Chris Davis Jr., kind of what you've seen from him so far now that he got a little bit of time against Cal Poly. Yeah.
Yeah, Chris is a guy we're super excited about him. A player out of Mississippi that has been incredible since he's been here. His love of football. We made a huge emphasis in our recruiting of finding guys that are really competitive and love football. And he personifies both of those things. He goes full speed in everything he does. He's got a mental toughness and physical toughness. It's at a high level. He wants to be a great player, and there's nothing more he loves than playing football. So love him. We got to get him more and more. You saw him get more involved this past week or past game against Cal Poly, and we're hoping to continue to have him become a bigger part of the offense, because he really brings a physical toughness and running through tackles and extra yards, all those things that you want out of your running backs.
And we'll finish up with Dan.
Coach, you had mentioned your appreciation of the ACC giving you a home. Just what you can say about, this is a historic moment, this first game ever for Stanford inside of the conference. Just your thoughts on the conference from the outside looking in prior to, and what your thoughts are now knowing that this is going to be a moment that will live forever for Stanford.
Yeah, I would say, being somebody that obviously loves college football and followed those teams from afar my entire life. So very familiar with the history of those schools and the conference. And now being a part of it, like I said, gratitude's probably the biggest word that comes to mind. And then also a respect for what teams are doing, in our conference. You see the parity of teams going against each other. I think it's a league that is very deep. There's really good coaching and talented players, and then there's tough venues. We're playing in one on Friday that's hard to go into those places because they have a significant home field advantage in terms of their crowds and their noise and all those things. So gratitude and respect, I would say.
Thank you so much, Coach. We will be right
Okay.
back with Justin Lane.
Thanks, guys. Go Card. Yeah, guys.
All right, we are back with quarterback Justin Lamson. We'll take questions the same way we did for Coach Taylor. Nico, we'll start with you.
All right. Hey, Justin. Just wanted to get your thoughts on kind of the notion to go back to the West Coast from the East Coast. I know, obviously, played for Syracuse for some time and now going back West, and kind of that connection, how that happened, and your connection with Coach Taylor.
Yeah. Obviously super excited to go back to the Dome. It's an electric atmosphere, so I'm excited to go back there. Obviously when I signed with Stanford, I never thought we'd be playing Syracuse week 3, my second year here. But yeah, I'm excited to go there and play them. And kind of off the Coach Taylor thing. I knew Coach Taylor when I was at Oak Ridge, kind of a legend coaching in Sacramento area. So just having the opportunity to play for him, it's been an honor. So
Thanks, Justin.
Dan?
Justin, good to talk with you. It's been a long time since your recruitment and your road there, but happy to have you back here again. Just to bring me into the thoughts and the emotions that may be going through you as you step back into the dome. Like you said, you never thought you would be there again. And then ultimately, what the message was from Troy Taylor that made you believe that going back to the West Coast and becoming a Cardinal football player was the right move.
Yeah, obviously coming to Stanford, it's been it was kind of an easy choice. Like going through my recruitment, I had a couple other schools that I was interested in, but just being close to home, I'm about 2 hours away from home, and just the education that Stanford provides, it's kind of a no-brainer for me, and be able to get coached by the coaching staff here, that was kind of a no-brainer. And going back to the Dome, I'm super excited about it. Kind of I know 7 of the 11 starters on defense, so kind of being able to know who I'm going against is something that I'm super excited about, and just kind of like a homecoming kind of game for me. So I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. Nathan?
Hey, Justin, Nathan Cannell from San Jose Mercury News. Just wanted to get your thoughts. I mean, this is the first long road trip for you guys. I mean, as a player, is there anything you're doing differently in terms of just adjusting your body clock and trying to get ready for a long road trip out to Syracuse?
Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking about that, but I don't want to overthink it. I was thinking about trying to maybe switch up my sleep a little bit. I'm big onto my sleep, and I need like a certain amount of hours to operate at a high level. But I think the biggest thing for me is probably just not sleeping on the plane. I don't want to get into a bad sleep schedule where it's a 6 hour flight and I'm sleeping half the flight. But I think honestly, our nutrition staff kind of has that kind of stuff figured out for us, and we kind of already went over in our meetings about how they're going to handle it, and kind of assist us in that way. So I don't think it's too much on the players, and the staff is helping us out with it.
Jake?
Justin, Alec Manor has been clocked, I think, as the second fastest player in college football so far this season. For you, when did you kind of first realize his skill set was on another level? And as a quarterback, is it hard to kind of not just lock in on him every time?
Yeah, I think our offense just not locking on him because it's a progression-based offense, and we have so many different playmakers, and our coaches do a good job putting them in space. So it's not like, oh, Alex on one side, I'm just gonna throw it to him. It's kind of go to who's open and then work from there. Um, Regarding Elick just being as talented as he is, I think the biggest thing with Elick is just he works harder than anybody, and that's kind of what separates him. So it's not shocking to me what he did against Colorado last year, and it's not shocking to me that he's the second fastest player timed in college football last week, just because he's super talented, and he works for everything that he's getting. So I'm very happy for him, and yeah, he's a big player. I'm excited to keep throwing the ball to him.
Ben?
Yeah, kind of, Bill, you've already kind of touched on this a little bit, but what are some aspects of having played at Syracuse, been in the Dome, been in that environment that you think can maybe benefit the team, and any kind of wisdom or insights that you feel you able to kind of pass on to the guys in advance of this week of what to expect?
Yeah, I mean, I know it's just a hostile environment. They love football in Syracuse, so I've kind of relayed that to the offense, just be ready for some noise, especially on third down. And I don't think noise is something that really affects us on offense because we've played in tough places. But just being very good with our communication is going to be the biggest thing. So, and also trying to give as much insight as I can on the defense players that I know, to try to give us an edge in any way possible.
David?
Hey, Justin, you played with the Ronde Against, and I'm curious if you see sort of some similarities in style between him and anybody else that you guys have, and what do you kind of tell the defense there at Stanford about what kind of a matchup problem he can be?
Yeah. First thing I think about when I talk about Aronde is feel of the game. I think he just has a sixth sense of being able to get open and open space, and that's kind of what makes him so special. And the same thing with Elick is Aronde is going to be the hardest worker in the room, and I think that's something that's super special. I came in with Aronde, and right from the gate, anytime I needed someone to throw with, he would be the first person to respond, and never had to ask him to come out and throw with me. He would always just want to go out there and get some work. So I think that's what makes Aronde so special.
Troy?
Yeah, Justin, two things. First, I think we've seen a lot from the quarterbacks, all three so far this season. Just kind of take us through what you've shown with your snaps, what Ashton has shown, and what Elijah has shown with his opportunity last week. How the quarterbacks fared in your mind so far this season?
Yeah, I think me personally, I've shown growth in the offense. I know I didn't have the opportunity to throw the ball much last year, and this year I feel like, I'm ready for that opportunity. Whenever my name's called to throw the ball more, I feel comfortable back there, and I feel comfortable with the offense. And obviously, I can do a lot of stuff with my running ability, and I've shown that, and I'll keep doing that if I need to. But yeah, I'm ready to take the next step in the passing game when the coaches feel comfortable for me to do that. And then EB, man, he's a really talented player, and I'm super happy that he went out there and balled out last week. And Ashton, he's doing a great job, and he always does a great job.
Second thing, Dinosaur Barbecue gets all the raves, and rightfully so. I've been there too. Looking forward to heading there myself. But any other spots in Syracuse you might recommend to folks making the trip?
Yeah, Francesca's, Italian food, any Italian food in upstate New York, and especially the Syracuse area, is great. But my go-to spot is Francesca's, and if you go there, you got to get the butter cake. I'm sure Dan and all the other Syracuse guys would agree with me.
John?
Justin, one of the reasons we like covering college athletics is we know you're a young man and you're growing and you're adjusting to things, and there's positives and there's negatives. And you took the leap of going 3,000 miles away to school, and circumstances changed. You're back now closer to home. But focusing on the positive of your Syracuse experience, just were there one or two guys either on the team now or who are on the team that sort of helped you adjust to life back there, helped you adjust to college football? Any story or two you want to share with us?
Yeah, I guess player wise, Derek McDonald, their starting Sam, he was my roommate. Really close with him. We haven't talked as much just because, football is kind of, it's like, we're about to play each other, so we haven't talked that much this off season. But just him being around was great for me. One of my best friends. So and then there was a lot of alumni. Pat Kaloran, he played there. He's an All-American there. He's just been a great role model for me. So I mean, there's a lot of people that are special to me in Syracuse, and I did not take that time for granted, and I still call that place home in a way.
Dan?
Justin, for you, what ultimately, when you go back on that to make that decision, how bittersweet was it for you to leave Syracuse? Like you said, it's another home to you. And what did Syracuse fans never get to see as far as the quarterback that you are?
Yeah, I think they didn't get to see a guy that was ready to play in a competitive way. I obviously had that injury when I thought I was going to be ready to play, and just things didn't go the way I wanted them to go. So, I'm excited to go back there and show them what I can do when I get my opportunity. And yeah, it was a great time there.
And I will say the butter cake's good at Francesca's, but Brian's Landing, which is right down the road from the Dome, that's good too.
Yep.
Thank you.
Steve?
Yeah, Justin, Steve Croner from San Francisco Chronicle. I'm interested to know how you've been able to manage the ability to be the backup quarterback who does play a decent amount. I would imagine in some level that's got to be hard. You want to be the number one guy, but yet it's from the outset anyway. It seems as if you and Ashton have handled that dynamic pretty well. What's that mindset been for you for the past year plus?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been some tough days. Obviously, I want to be the main guy. That's why I came here. So I want to be the every down guy. But I know that sometimes that's not the position I'm in right now. But I keep working in the off season and every day like I'm the starter. So when that time comes, I'm sure the team it feels comfortable with me in there. And Ashton's doing a great job. I'm super close with Ashton, so it's nothing personal. We're both there to make the team better, and I think we both kind of have the mindset of we need to lead the team when our name's called.
Thank you.
Ben?
Two questions for you. Number one, I was curious, the Syracuse, it's a little bit outside of Buffalo, but is that still a Buffalo Bills dominant fan area region, or is that more of a Giants, Jets, or just what's the NFL fan base mix up there? That's number one. And then number two, just thoughts on just what's kind of your approach like during a bye week, coming out of a bye week? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I kind of see the Syracuse fans as like the Buffalo type fans, the people that really love football and they're willing to go out there and tailgate in the cold weather and really be loud for their team. So I think that's kind of the kind of fans that will be at the game. Got people that love football. And then what was the second question? Sorry.
Yeah, just second question. Sorry, it was just kind of just approach during the bye week. Just kind of what was that like for you? How was it different from a regular week for you as a quarterback and all that? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think for our bye week, we really actually worked a lot, and I think it was just basically getting our install in and then executing at a high level once we got the install in, and then I think when we got our off days, for me, the way I handle my bye weeks is I just kind of try to relax. So I went home and kind of forgot about football for whatever 24 hours, as much time as we got off, and tried to give myself a little bit of a mental break and physical break, and then just got right back to it on Sunday.
Ian?
Hey, Justin, from WAER Syracuse. Going back to Alec, I know you got a question about him earlier. I mentioned this to Coach Taylor as well. But how did you see him kind of grow into his own last year? You referenced your own prior lower body injury at Syracuse. How did you see him kind of gain his confidence throughout last year as that knee brace came off and he started to really come into his own?
Yeah, I wasn't there in the spring ball when he wasn't playing, so I was still at Syracuse. But I immediately saw him kind of gain momentum and confidence as fall camp and the season went on. And I think for Elick, like I said earlier, he's a hard worker. So if something didn't feel right, I'm sure he was going to be in the training room after practice getting it worked on because he's a guy that never stops thinking about how he can get better at football. And he handled that great, and it's tough sometimes having a lower body injury, and he's done a great job coming back from that.
Any other questions for Justin? Jake?
Justin, I know you obviously have not been in Syracuse for 2 years, and I don't know how much of an eye you've kept on Syracuse, but what's your reaction to kind of the change with the Syracuse program under Fran Brown?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like what I've heard and what I've seen is that he's a player's coach and the guys love him. So that's always encouraging to see, like having a coach that guys love to play for is pretty cool, especially, since I know some of the guys personally. I'm excited for them and happy that they're enjoying having him over there.
All right. Thank you so much, Justin.
Thanks.
All right, we will finish up today with Mitch Lieber. We will take questions the same way we did for both Troy and Justin. Ben?
Hey, Mitch, just want to get your thoughts on Syracuse's offense, just kind of general thoughts, just what are you seeing from them and what's been the key to you guys defensively having success against the Orange?
Yeah, no doubt. They have a good offense. They have a lot of guys who came in with the coach, some transfers. They have a lot of good playmakers over there. Their QB's an experienced guy who's really talented. They have some really good playmakers on the outside. And, their tight end number 19 kind of plays like a receiver position too. He's a really explosive player. So as a defense, we're ready to attack and ready to go out there and execute the game plan that the coaches put out there. We're just excited for this opportunity to get to play a game on the East Coast.
Nathan?
Hey, Mitch, Nathan Califf from San Jose Mercury News. I'm just curious. I know this is the first conference game for you guys. Is there any extra juice or motivation knowing that, this is your first conference game against a conference opponent and first road trip and all that?
Yeah, we're excited like usual. Every week is another opportunity to go out there and compete. You only get so many per year. You only get 12 guaranteed. So we preach that a lot just to be, excited for this opportunity to play a game. So whether it's an ACC opponent, or a non-conference. Obviously, this game means a little bit more now that, we're in conference game. So that's going to be exciting. So we're just excited for this opportunity to, compete and go out there and put our best foot forward.
Is there anything different you're doing as a player, knowing that this is just the first of a long road trip that you guys had this year?
Not really. The week is obviously, we're coming off the bye week, and now it's a, game on a Friday. But still trying to attack the week like regular, attack practice like usual, just stay kind of consistent, is how I look at it. Just go out there and, stay consistent through my process. And yeah.
John?
Mitch, my question is similar to the one just asked, and that is, I mean, you're a veteran of this. You played games at Notre Dame. We went to Hawaii last year. Do you have a personal approach to longer trips in terms of what you would do on the plane, or there's an extra day, for example? I know school hasn't started yet, but just the sort of the Mitch Lieber personal philosophy about a trip that's a road trip that's 5 or 6 hours as opposed to 1 or 2.
Yeah. I think it's important, like, especially with a time change, just making sure, one big thing, our nutrition staff emphasizes a lot is just hydrating, especially on these long flights. Just trying not to get dehydrated, so hydrating throughout the flight. And a big thing for me, I try not to sleep on the plane as well, especially with this time change. Try not to throw off my sleep schedule. So those are just a couple of things I do just to try to stay, focused throughout these long flights and not throw off my routine too much.
Jake?
Mitch, Alec Io Manor, had that big game where he kind of came up on the national stage against Colorado last year, but he still flies under the radar, I think, from a national perspective. As someone who's, goes up against him in practice on a day-to-day basis, what's something you think the nation needs to know about him?
Yeah, I mean, Alec, I don't know how he still flies under the radar. He goes out and performs every game. He's an explosive player. Every day, he's competitive. Every day he brings it at practice. He's a hard worker. He's always getting extra work in. And I think, we see that out on the field. He's been performing this year, coming off this, his season last year. He's continued where he left off from last year. So it's great to see, all his work just paying off, and he's a great player for us.
Ben?
Yeah, just thoughts on the safety room. How do you feel that your unit has performed through 2 weeks here?
Yeah, I think, we're still improving as a unit. Each day we're getting better, working together, working with guys like Scotty and Jay Green. It's great each day, just getting reps, building off each other, feeling more confident with each other. So, I think we're improving as a secondary as a whole. Our first 2 games, we did a lot of positives, and we had a lot of things to work on. But overall, I think we're trending in the right direction.
Troy?
Yeah, I'm just kind of building upon that a little bit. It seems like overall this defense seems to be flying to the ball more consistently than perhaps it did last year. A bit more pressure being applied, bit better pursuit overall to the ball so far this year through just 2 games. Do you share that assessment, number one? And number two, what sort of things have gone into that?
Yeah, I think we just take pride every time we step out on the field. Every time we get the opportunity to go out there, we just give it all. We give it our all. And that's a big thing, we try and emphasize throughout the offseason is pursuit to the football. I think that showed up a lot in the first 2 games. Like we saw, we forced a few turnovers, guys running to the football. And we always say, like, when guys are just running to the football, giving great effort, great things will happen, and, plays will come to us.
Kaushik?
Yeah, Mitch, and apologize if this has been asked before, but obviously, in week 1, you guys played a really high octane passing offense in TCU. What did you guys learn from that game, and what do you guys think you need to do in order to maybe limit Kyle McCord and Syracuse's passing offense?
Yeah, they have a great offense, like you said. Very explosive. Their QB is very experienced. He's a great passer. So I think we just need to, trust our scheme, trust the game plan. Our coaches do a great job putting us in position to make plays. So I think that's just one thing we need to focus on. Just trusting that the coaches are putting us in the right position and just going out there and executing.
Steve?
Yeah, Mitch, kind of a two-part question on Justin Lamson. One, have you guys been picking his brain about some of his former teammates, trying to get a scouting report? And two, just as a guy who goes against him in practice and sees him day to day, what adjectives would you use to describe Justin Lamson as a player?
Yeah. I would describe him as competitive. Every day he goes out there, he's always giving it his all. He's a very physical player. He's a good passer too. He's an all-around good player. But he's very competitive. Every time we get the opportunity to go up against him, he's always out there, talking trash to the defense. So it's always fun to go up against him. So I would definitely say competitive is a word to describe Justin.
Great. And have you guys been picking his brain at all, or because it's a new coach and a new system that maybe whatever knowledge he might have of Syracuse is might maybe not quite as relevant as it would have been, say, last year?
Yeah, I don't. We haven't been picking his brain too much. I think obviously with the new coach and a new scheme, it's a little bit different. So we haven't been picking his brain too much.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Dan?
Mitch, to look at Syracuse's offense, they have so many different weapons in the backfield. They're multiple. LaQuinn Allen Jr., 1,000-yard back, and then also their receivers. What can you say about what you've seen on film from the different pieces of talent that Kyle McCord has to throw to as well as hand the ball off to?
Yeah, they have a lot of great players. They have explosive offense, like I said, a lot of great weapons that he can throw to, and their running back's a very explosive player as well. He's fast, quick. So yeah, Kyle McCord definitely has a lot of weapons to utilize on his offense. But I think we're ready to get after it and shut down their offense.
And Mitch, you spoke about being ready for that. These first couple games that you've had, what can you say about what you've learned as a team about each other, having a tough game in that first week and then being able to bounce back and get a victory? What have your teammates shown you as you step forward? Like you said, you believe you're ready. Why is that?
Yeah, I think we just believe in each other and trust in each other. Like I said before, that's what it comes down to a lot of the time, is just having trust in everyone else on the field that they're going to do their 111th, and just going out there and executing. That's what we've been preaching. Like I said before, having trust in the scheme, having trust in the coaches, and having trust in your brothers next to you is if you're able to execute that, the wins will start coming.
Thank you, Mitch.
We have time for 3 more questions. John?
Mitch, I can't resist the question earlier about Alec, and calls to mind the last ESPN Friday road game. We're almost at the 1-year mark of the Colorado game. I know it's special because it's a chance for you guys to showcase your talents before a national audience. That game against Colorado was a roller coaster. Can you kind of take us through what you were experiencing, both first half and second half, and then watching Alec and what he did, and sort of the specialness of that memory?
Yeah, obviously we got out to a slow start. They got up on us early. We were down big at half. So the big thing was just coming out of halftime, and not quitting, not giving up. So we just stayed consistent, stayed with the plan. Defense started getting a few stops, and then offense, made a few plays. The momentum switched. I think you kind of see that, just the way, the energy kind of flipped from their side to our side. And like I said, offense made a few plays, defense was getting some stops, and we just went from there. And
then watching Alec from the sidelines over multiple times, did you catch yourself going, "Whoa, he did it again"? What kind of give us a reaction to Alec in that second half?
Yeah, it was awesome to see. Like I said before, we see him produce every day at practice. So to be able to see him go out there and show the nation what he's about, it was pretty cool to see.
Ian?
Hey, I'm just from WAER Syracuse. You guys have an interesting situation with the quarterbacks and how so many different guys have gotten some run on the field this year. I'm curious from your perspective, whether it's been seeing him in game from the sideline or just practicing alongside him, going against him. How do you feel like the skill players on your team have responded to, seeing different looks at that quarterback position and being ready regardless of who's out there and what the offense looks like if it's a different guy who's out there under center?
Yeah. I don't think it really makes a big difference to them. They get so many reps in the off season, every day with 7 on. you know, just putting in work with all the quarterbacks, you know, so they feel comfortable with whoever gets put out there. You know, it's a great group of QBs. We have you know, playing safety, you know, we get to see him we get to see him go out there and perform every day. It's a great group of guys. They're always competing, always trying to get better. So you know, whoever's the guy that gets put out there, I have trust in them to, you know, to perform and help lead our team to a win.
Last question goes to Ben.
Yeah, Mitch, just want to get your thoughts on kind of the defensive scheme you guys run under Bobby April. Just what area of the scheme do you feel personally you're the most maybe comfortable in or more comfortable in than maybe you were a year ago?
Yeah. Just overall, being in the scheme for another year, I think everyone's feeling a lot more comfortable. You know, at the safety position, you know, the scheme is really, really good for safeties. You know, we get to play a lot of different parts of the field, you know, play deep in the post, play man coverage, blitz off the edge. So, you know, there's a lot of, you know, it's a complicated scheme, but when it's executed well, it's a very good defense. And, you know, we trust Coach April. You know, he's a great coach, and he's always puts us in great positions to make plays.
All right. Thank you so much. That'll be the end of today's press conference. We look forward to seeing you in Syracuse. Thank you.